Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
Now, while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
One time I went to Europe and it changed my life. We all know those annoying study abroad kids who go prance around Europe for education and have the best experience of their lives. But the best experience of their lives being drinking, sex, and affordable health care. Something you don't even cherish in your early 20s. Give that to me now that I'm 31 and jaded. Well, Leigh Sprague was one of these students. Sprague's studies took him to many different countries, and he fell in love with their culture and the excitement of being somewhere new. So much so that he temporarily became an expat. But what happens when you begin to miss the life you once had in your home country? What if there's actually no way to go home? What lengths would you go to have a Big Mac in your mouth once again? Find out on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
It's like people when they're like, I'm going to study abroad for a semester, and they come back and they're calling sneakers trainers.
Oh, yeah.
Know, and they're calling a trunk a boot. And I'm like, shut up. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't like, but my parents didn't have enough money to send me places. So I went to my friend Greg's house to smoke weed all summer.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Well, great for you.
Oh, you had to go see the Coliseum? I went to work.
Here are my balls. You can Coliseum.
Is that the statue of David? Because that thing is tiny. Welcome back to another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
The statue itself is large. I just want to say that, okay?
But his penis is small.
Some would even say, average. Someone would. My name's Kashan.
And I'm Nina.
Welcome back.
Anyways, that's actually, we're not going to talk about penises anymore on this episode.
That's probably not true.
There's no, yeah, man, you know, it is me. And I will say that I might have made a mistake in that intro. I'm pretty sure you can probably get a Big Mac where this person went.
I was going to say, I feel like they serve Big Mac is like the McDonald's sandwich. And
yeah,
McDonald's
they definitely have McDonald's
everywhere.
where we're talking about today. So, yeah.
They have McDonald's a lot of places.
Not in Iceland.
Really?
Yeah, they don't have it in Iceland.
Oh, well, congratulations, everyone from Iceland.
Yeah, no mosquitoes and no McDonald's.
Too cold?
Yep.
Wait, Iceland's warm, right?
Well,
Greenland's cold.
Well, it's relatively warm. It's not as warm as like California. Speaking of California, that is where the person we are talking about today was born. Leigh Sprague, born a Cali boy, quickly turned Midwestern when his family moved to Wisconsin when he was a child. Sprague was always cunning, and this helped him excel in school. His brains earned him a prestigious scholarship from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Madison is actually a very cute little town, if you've never been.
And the University of Wisconsin-Madison, depending on what you're studying, is also a pretty good school. I think.
Oh, really?
I think they're a pretty good research school, yeah.
Well, Sprague fell in love with travel and working abroad when he did a foreign exchange program with AFS Intercultural Programs. He did an exchange program in Yugoslavia, which is now Croatia, and this is when he knew he wanted to continue living life abroad.
So when about is this happening?
So this all happened. He was in Croatia in the late 80s. He was born in 1970, so when he was in the when he was in high school, it would be the mid to late 80s.
Okay, as long as you don't get held back.
He might, well, no, he was smart. He didn't get held back.
All right.
Leigh Sprague did not get held back. Okay, that's one thing he didn't do. Yeah, Croatia became Croatia in 1991.
Okay.
So they haven't been Croatia that long, actually. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin, Sprague was a junior fellow at Carnegie Endowment of International Peace. He eventually made his way to the Peace Corps and worked as a journalist before attending law school. In the year before law school, Sprague was living in Russia, working as an idealistic researcher on democratic institutions at the Carnegie Moscow Center. During his time there, he was rubbing shoulders with important people in Russia, some of which included Mikhail Gorbachev and Boris Yeltsin.
Oh, man, that one guy, he tore down a wall.
Which one?
Gorbachev.
Oh, really?
That's what Ronald Reagan, his famous line is, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." When they tore down the Berlin Wall.
Ah, yes. So these people will come up again, but they were pretty important. And while he was in Russia doing this, he also met his wife. He attended law school at Columbia University Law School, and he graduated with honors in 1999. So after graduating law school, Sprague worked with some law firms in New York before leaving and going back to Russia. He went back to Russia in 2001. He said that living in New York in 2001 was obviously like pretty hectic considering 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I had one of my coworkers today. She was like, my birthday's on a holiday. And I was like, oh, what holiday? And she goes, 9/11. I was like, I don't think it's a holiday.
Yeah, a day of remembrance, perhaps. Do we call Pearl Harbor a holiday? No. Like, I don't think we call...
Only for the Japanese.
I don't think we call, like, days of large terrorist attacks holidays.
It's a holiday to her.
How old is she?
In her probably early 40s.
Oh, it's worse. I was like, if you were born after 9/11, maybe. But if you were...
Oh, no, she's like...
That means you were, like, old enough to know exactly what was going on.
She looks really good, but I think she's a little older than she looks. So I think she's in her 40s.
Jesus Christ.
Late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, no. She should stop saying that.
Yeah, she should stop doing a lot of things. Sprague says that his reasoning for going back to Russia was extremely idealistic. He liked going back. He liked the idea of going to a nation that was just reemerging from the collapse of the Soviet Union, and being in a place that held promise for democracy and unification seemed interesting to him, and he wanted to be a part of it.
Wasn't that already America's whole thing? Democracy and unification? That's
but he wanted to be in the beginning stages.
Oh. Okay.
He's like, this collapsed and I want to be part of the rebuild. This guy is kind of weird.
I was about to say, just what a ridiculous notion to be like, oh man, I want to go to a nation that's recently had their entire government collapse. That sounds fun.
Well, there is this group of people. What is it called? It's a type of tourism.
Or is it where you go to places right after terrible events happen there?
Yes.
So that it's cheap and no one's there?
Well, you go to a place that's having a crisis so that you can witness the crisis, because in your home country, you don't have that type of crisis. So you want to experience it.
That is some rich people shit.
Oh, it's some rich people. It's some white rich people shit that's really fucked up. I know somebody who was telling me about how oh yeah, I went to Ireland when Ireland and Northern Ireland were having their wars
during the Troubles.
Yes, because they were because his friend had gone there and was like, oh dude, you need to go see this. And so so they went there to witness tragedy. It was really bizarre.
Wow.
It's really fucked up. And I think that this guy was kind of like that. He was like, oh yeah, I can't be a part of a nation collapsing, and I can't be a part of their regrowth, but if I go there, I can be.
I bet this guy called 9/11 a holiday.
He probably will call 9/11
He's like, oh man.
Yeah,
it was so great experiencing that. What?
Yeah, no, he's a weirdo. He also felt that his experience would not only make him a lot of money, but potentially bring him fame in Russia. He did end up being well known, but maybe not in the way that he envisioned. Once Sprague moved back to Russia in 2001, he was super successful in those beginning years. Honestly, the entire time he was there, he was very successful because of his knowledge, which was priceless due to the fall of the Soviet Union. He was a fancy lawyer. They needed those things. They needed that. They didn't really have, he had more experience and was a lot more clever. And plus he knew Russian. So that made him even more valuable. In 2000, so I'm going to be honest with you, there's a lot of Russian names in this, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce them correctly. I'm not even sure if I'm saying Sprague right. To be honest with you.
I had a band director with that name. His name was Sprague.
Sprague?
Don't know.
Sprague?
Yeah. That's how he pronounced it, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, we'll try Sprague.
But Prague, spelled like that.
Right.
Pronounced Prague.
Yeah.
So go with your gut. Go,
All right.
Go with what your feeling is.
In 2007, he was hired by UC Russell as a lawyer to work on their initial public offering. So from what I can find, this is, and this makes more sense with the guy that he aligns himself. I'm almost 100% sure that this is an aluminum company.
Oh, okay.
So.
I thought you were going to say an Illuminati company. For a second.
Well,
Maybe.
No, it'd be more mafia than Illuminati.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Because of his work with UC Russell, Sprague started interacting with more and more powerful businessmen and eventually started working with a Russian oligarch. If you're not aware, Russian oligarchs are extremely influential businessmen who control what is happening in politics. They emerged after the collapse of the Soviet Union and started making tons of money in the 90s due to the privatization of Russia.
Yeah, it's like if a billionaire here in America had a big influence on, the politics here, like being able to invite a presidential candidate on their own platform that they bought for $40 billion to have an interview that's laced with propaganda.
Yeah, that would be...
It would be like that.
That'd be kind of crazy.
Wild, right?
I can't really imagine that happening here. But oligarchs initially came out as business entrepreneurs under Mikhail Gorbachev during his period of market liberalization. Now, their influence began to grow under Boris Yeltsin's presidency, so much so that they funded his reelection in 1996. And I was talking about those two earlier. That Sprague had interacted with them. Obviously, based on what I just said, they were very big deals. All right. So Russian oligarchs are obviously not people to be messed with. If you mess with them, you're dead. Sprague says that he thought if he worked with oligarchs, he could influence them to do good while they were simultaneously doing bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Personally, I think he got money hungry and he got a thrill from working with them.
I didn't do it for the power like all of these other people.
No.
I did it because I thought I could convince them to
do the right thing.
To use a reusable straw. Just make good choices. Recycle.
He's like, what would be a crazy idea if you treated women fairly? You know what would be even crazier? Like, imagine this. Two men, but they're kissing.
Straight to jail.
But it's okay.
Here's the thing, guys. I know you're killing all these people because they're going against you, but I'm just saying, can we turn them into, like, I don't know, some compost or something?
The first oligarch he was working for his entertainment holding company, giving him access to the rich and famous in Russia as well as abroad. And after he had worked with the oligarch for some time, Sprague switched teams and started working for Oleg Deripaska, one of the richest oligarchs in Russia, who is also part of Putin's inner circle. Deripaska has been denied visas to the United States because of his ties with organized crime, and it's estimated that he's worth about $8 billion. So he's like not a guy that you fuck with. Many people warned Sprague not to leave his current position with the other oligarch, but he was tempted by money. When he began working for Deripaska, he worked for the legal department in his aluminum company. So we're in the aluminum business again. And he was making about $1 million per year, which $1 million a year is a lot of money no matter where you are, but it will get you even further in Russia.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That place is pretty poor. So if you're making that much money, you're doing really well. Sprague was given a lot of responsibility in Deripaska's company, and he was often flying around the world in private jets doing Deripaska's bidding. Sprague has said, quote, "I helped him concoct schemes for how to secretly acquire companies, pay off politicians, and avoid taxes." However, although Sprague was making millions of dollars, he felt unhappy. He began to feel uneasy with his life in Russia, and Sprague notes that the corruption, criminality, the suspicion, and the xenophobia all began to be too much for him.
Comrade Sprague, why are you not happy? You have everything a man could want. You have beautiful Russian wife, as much borscht as you could eat, and copious amounts of vodka. He's like, I don't know, Oleg.
I don't know.
I'm just not feeling. I'm just not really up to it today.
Well, speaking of his beautiful Russian wife, his marriage was falling apart, and he also developed an addiction to over-the-counter cough medicine.
Dude, he's drinking lean? What the fuck?
Listen, we had this conversation earlier off the microphones. You can't get drugs in Russia. No drugs in Russia, so you've got to.
So he's getting it.
So he's got to take that NyQuil, baby.
That's I don't know. It's not funny. But it's kind of...
It's a little funny when you could just be an alcoholic.
He's just double cupping it. Yeah, that's what everyone else in Russia does.
Yeah, just be an alcoholic, dude. Like, what the fuck? I mean, he was feeling trapped. He was, I mean, listen, life in Russia is not the same as life in the U.S. You don't have as many freedoms.
Exactly. What do you mean? It's far superior.
Ooh. Honestly, his list of issues kind of... Okay, honestly, though, this list of issues that I read, it kind of almost felt like a monologue in an improv scene. Because he's like, I hate how people are so paranoid. I hate xenophobia. I hate how criminal everything is. And I'm addicted to cough medicine. He's like, yes, anding.
Just like, oh, God. Now we have to do the addiction scene.
All right.
Thank you so much, Sprague.
Dealing with oligarchs is difficult because you can't just quit.
Yeah, it's a lot like cough syrup.
It's a lot like cough syrup. You just...
I wish I could quit you.
Once you're in it, you're in it. There's no getting out of it. I mean, like, listen, he knew way too much. He literally helped this guy commit crimes. It's like the mafia or any other organized crime. Once you're in, you're in. There really isn't any getting out. However, the global financial crisis hit in 2007, and this is when Sprague saw his golden opportunity. When the financial crisis hit, Deripaska was doing whatever it took to save his company, and Sprague was there to help him. Deripaska, Sprague, and one other person oversaw what was described as a massive stash of money. Since Sprague was dealing with the money himself, he saw this as the perfect time to do the wrong thing. He knew that if he could control the money, he would be able to leave Russia without any consequence. Sprague says, quote, I decided, in other words, to do unto my hatred employer as he had done unto many, to turn the tables on him and to steal a little bit of change to line my pocket.
This guy's got like a hero complex, man. Like,
yeah.
He thinks everything he's doing is fucking saving the world.
Oh, yeah. He even says later that, like, he convinced himself that what he did was okay for a time because he was like, well, I'm like Robin Hood. I'm stealing from the rich and I'm giving to the poor. Even though he didn't give to the poor, he just funded his own shit.
It's like, are you the poor? You're making $1 million a year. Also, you're telling me you can't, like, I know it's hard to leave Russia once you're there, right? Mm-hmm. But like,
well, especially like if you're in a situation like this.
Can't you just like under the guise of like, I have to go do some business in America?
Potentially.
And then just get a flight out of there and don't fucking go back.
Yeah. I mean, there was another way to do this.
Like, he has enough money to get out. He's making $1 million a year. Why does he need more money?
I personally think... Honestly, I think that might have been a lie.
It's not the limiting factor
like,
here.
Everywhere you see, like everything you read about this, it says that he was unhappy. He felt like he couldn't leave. He felt like he was trapped, and this is why he did this. However, I think he just got greedy. He's working. He's making $1 million a year, which is a lot, but he's working for someone who's worth $8 billion, and he's like, well, this guy's just not going to miss his money. I really think is what it was more than anything else.
I guess I do kind of like the story that he just like started getting the Sunday scaries so bad that he's like, I gotta get out of here.
I mean, maybe he did. I'm sure there was a point where he became uncomfortable.
He just had a midlife crisis and he's like, they don't sell Harleys in Russia. How am I going to deal with this?
Okay, that's actually funny. We're going to touch on something similar to that. He also notes that, like, if he were to just leave Russia and get a job in the United States, they wouldn't have had the same standard of living as they had in Russia. Because they were rich in Russia. They had a shit ton of money in Russia.
Okay, no one's going to kill you in America.
Well,
so that's
maybe.
Cool, right?
Right. He said,
and you can still get cough syrup. And you can get cocaine if you want.
Actually, you can get regular drugs in America and not get in that much trouble.
You can get these shitty knockoff drugs, man. You could do some. You could fucking hit some DMT,
you can get some
man.
Real fucking drugs, dude.
Absolutely, do some crack.
Well, he said he wanted to line his pockets, and line those pockets he did with $10 million. Sprague set up a shell corporation in the Republic of Seychelles. Shell corporation in Seychelles.
Yeah, say that.
Say that 5 times fast.
Sprague set up shell corporations in the Seychelles by the seashore.
He forged a document saying that the shell company was owned by Deripaska. He then set up a bank account for the shell company in Switzerland. After doing this, he got Goldman Sachs to liquidate $10 million into the Swiss bank account. Sprague took the money and wired it to several different countries, including staying in Switzerland, Hong Kong, and the U.S. Sprague spent most of his money on renovations in his home in Malibu. He did have a home in the United States. As well as buying expensive cars. He bought about 13 classic cars, which the estimated total of those cars is about $1 million.
So this was him solving his midlife crisis.
Yeah, this is how he's going to get back. This is how he's going to get back to America.
He's like, a 1959 Chevy Bel Air will really
really
fill
fix
this cough syrup sized hole in my heart.
What's funny is I guess the renovations were really shitty and it ended up depreciating the value of his home.
He's like, what do you mean? People don't like the piranha tank? They don't want to buy it with the piranha tank?
I don't want your piranha tank.
The pickleball court isn't doing anything. It was pre-pickleball being popular, so maybe just a forward thinker.
They didn't understand. Okay, pickleball was all the rage in Russia in the early 2000s.
I mean, yeah.
Sprague got a taste of fortune and he became greedy. About a year later, he tried to do the same thing again, take $5 million from the massive stash of money. Sprague says that he was sloppy and that you can see from his actions that he wanted to get caught, which makes no sense to me, but whatever. He said that his fatal mistake was going to the same place twice to steal his money. What got him caught was that he had taken his children on a weekend trip to Paris. While in Paris, the bank tried to reach him in regards to the money transfer. Since he was abroad, they were unable to get a hold of him. The bank then contacted another one of Deripaska's employees who obviously didn't know anything about the transfer. Eventually, Deripaska himself heard about the funds being transferred, making Sprague a dead man. When Sprague and his children returned to Moscow, he found his wife frantic on the steps of their home. Deripaska's cronies were after him, and they kept interrogating his wife about where he was. I'm actually shocked that they didn't hold her hostage or kill her.
They probably just wanted to wait for him to come back, not scare him off. Like, if he can't get a hold of his wife, he probably wouldn't come back.
Well, I guess that's true.
Right? You know?
Yeah.
But your marriage is on the rocks anyway, dude. Just get out of there.
Yeah, well, and that's what he did. As soon as Sprague heard this, he jetted back to the airport, trying to separate himself from his wife and kids so that they wouldn't bear any of the heat that he had brought upon himself, which that didn't work.
He was just ditching the dead weight, man.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Sprague says that he was nervous when he went back to the airport because he was certain that he was going to be on a no-fly list. It was just his luck that he was not on a no-fly list, and he bought a flight to Berlin. He lucked out because I guess minutes later, after he had bought the ticket, his name did appear on a no-fly list. And if he had been on that no-fly list and tried to leave, it would have gotten him in serious trouble. Sprague says that he would have had to appear in court, and he could have been ultimately sent to a prison camp in Serbia. Although Sprague was safe and sound, his family wasn't. Deripaska and his crew continued to harass them and tried to figure out where Sprague was. He initially went to the Israeli Riviera under a fake name, which apparently the Israeli Riviera is a place where many Russian oligarchs go when they are trying to fly under the radar.
Sounds like a casino.
Oh, yeah.
Come on down to the Israeli Riviera.
It sounds like a place where a lot of trouble happens. Sprague eventually made his way back to his fancy home in Malibu, safe and sound, while his family continued to be harassed. This did cause Sprague a great deal of grief, and he was so overwhelmed by his mistakes that he tried to kill himself, but he was unsuccessful. He probably just drank a bunch of cough syrup.
I don't know, it's pickleball court. He's like, it's just him hitting a pickleball over the net just to nobody. Just like, I miss my wife and kids. And then he drinks a fuck ton of Delcium and realizes that it's not the same kind of cough syrup.
He's like, damn it.
He's like, this doesn't have any opioids in it, Mr. Sprague.
Just
My wife
have a
and kids.
tummy ache. Sprague says that when he woke up in the ER after his suicide attempt, he wanted to make things right with Deripaska. Somehow, I don't understand how, Deripaska allowed Sprague to pay him back and make things right with the Oligarch. I don't really know how he pulled this off, because everywhere I look, it just says that he made things right with Oligarch, and even his own personal accounts, he's like, yeah, I just made it right.
Yeah, give him a little, old, Russian,
Give him that
Russian slop job.
That Glock 10 million.
Mm-hmm. Gave him 10 million rubles worth of haktua on that thing,
Got a haktua. Do it in a Russian accent.
You need to haktua.
It's so good. Spit on that thing. All right. I can't believe that this guy's alive. Honestly, I really can't. It's beyond me. Things seem to level out for Sprague. He got away virtually scot-free from a Russian oligarch with himself and his family still alive. He took a job in Wisconsin and started living a relatively normal life until the feds came in. Upon investigating Deripaska, Sprague's crimes were discovered. Sprague was arrested. The authorities seized more than $6 million of stolen funds, as well as the expensive cars that he owned. Shockingly, in total, law enforcement recovered about $8.5 million of that $10 million that Sprague had diverted.
So did he ever pay him back? What the hell?
So that's what I'm confused about. He made it right, but then he still had all this money, which makes me wonder, did he steal more money than they let on? I don't know. Somehow it says that he made this right, but they uncovered all this money.
Or maybe, just maybe, we're right and it was sexual favors.
What I'm worried is that he pimped out his wife or kids.
Oh, they're not worth $10 million. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, you haven't seen his kids, but they're not that cute.
Why would I'd not immediately go into his kids?
Well, I haven't seen the wife.
Okay.
And I've seen him, and he's not very hot. So
I don't know. She's Russian. You can order Russian brides in the mail, right? So I mean,
well, sometimes you get. You know what? Sometimes you. If you ever order something from Shein, all right.
No.
You think you're getting one thing, and it comes out, you get it. It's not what you ordered.
It's Leigh Sprague.
Yep. It's Leigh Sprague
in a wig.
In a wig.
Really shitty lipstick. You know,
Yep.
like no.
Yep.
All right, this will do.
Yeah. He got arrested, and Leigh Sprague pleaded guilty on December 16th, 2013. He was forced to pay $1.4 million in restitution, and he was sentenced to 50 months in prison, and he did serve his entire sentence. The reason that he didn't get in more trouble, I think it's because the account that he had put the money in the United States only had $5 million in it.
Okay, that was actually my next question. I was
Yeah.
like, he committed these crimes in another country, so why are the feds even worried about it?
Because he had wired the money to the U.S.
Yeah, so I guess it is.
Yeah, he had a Wells Fargo account that he had wired money to. Yeah. And they had, so dummy.
All right, fair enough.
Dummy. During his time in prison, Sprague wrote a blog which was titled Diary of a Wimpy Con.
That's a terrible name, Lee. What are you doing?
I know. Sprague enjoyed blogging, but was forced to stop when the warden caught wind of what was going on, and he wasn't happy about it. He was put into solitary confinement, even though he wrote nothing unsatisfactory about the prison.
Aren't you not even supposed to have internet access for?
I don't know how he was able to get this.
Internet access? Someone stuck a laptop in their
Probably.
ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of those,
They're like, I got
super big ones.
I got an IBM ThinkBook in my ass right now. You're the guy that's supposed to give me a case of Top Ramen, right?
I've got a MacBook. I've got a Chromebook under my scrotum. I got it right here.
He's like, oh, that's not. I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to use Chrome OS. You got to get me a Windows machine. God damn it. You know how hard it was to get in?
The blog's not bad. I read quite a bit of it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not super thrilling. he doesn't write about like you like. I don't know. I think that we, unfortunately, are very desensitized people, and we are like, oh, this is about a prison. I want to read some fucked up shit, and it's not about fucked up shit. It's about him like dancing, and in the prison, and like
he's like, they served chipped beef on toast last night. It was awful.
Yeah.
The people in the Civil War used to call this shit on a shingle, and I can see why.
Yeah, it's basically what that kind of was.
You're like, why am I? No one cares.
Yeah, I mean, from what I read, obviously I didn't read every part of the blog. You can't. I mean, you guess you could, but I didn't want to go that far back. But he doesn't talk a lot about it. He doesn't talk too much about his crimes. He does talk about his day-to-day life in the prison, but he really doesn't say anything bad from what I could find. He does call the food shitty, but that's
Cisco. All their food's shitty.
Yeah. I don't blame him. But yeah, Leigh Sprague served his sentence. He's out. He's free now. I forget what he's doing.
Back in the Midwest, probably.
He is back in Wisconsin.
Eating cheese. Did he get his wife and kids back ever?
So
Or are they still in Russia?
So it's a little unclear on what happened with his wife and kids. So I'm not 100% sure what happened to his wife and kids, because I read some things that were like, oh, when his children visited him on their break, on their school break. So to me, it kind of sounded like, I mean, his marriage was already rocky. Kind of sounds like they might have stayed in Russia and he's in the United States.
Because his wife was like, I'm not fucking moving out of here.
Yeah, but if you try to like look up videos about Leigh Sprague on YouTube, there's nothing except for some videos that Leigh Sprague has uploaded himself of his children. And so it's weird. It's like, it's not like creepy. It's just like a dad and his kids. And I'm not totally sure why he's uploading this to YouTube.
It's like them getting older, and it's that Green Day song playing. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road.
It's them jumping into a pool.
To that Green Day song. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go.
It's actually that one song that's like, may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it Bob Dylan?
I don't know that one, dude. I thought you were doing the I wanna be forever young.
No, not that one.
Do you really wanna live forever?
We're gonna get in trouble for all this singing.
No.
Nah.
So they're covers. We're not using the actual song.
Oh,
if
true.
anyone is like, wow, damn, that was a great rendition of Green Day, one, thank you so much. But two, you're wrong.
They were like, oh my God, is that Green Day?
Is that oh God, what's his name? Bobby
Flay?
No, it's not Bobby Flay. Jesus Christ.
Dude, I don't know.
I swear to God, I know his name. I'll think about it later. I'm sorry, I don't know it now. Please don't hate me.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Billy Joe Armstrong. Oh, I clutched it. Absolutely.
Good job. For Leigh Sprague, that desperate measure was pulling a fast one on one of the most influential and powerful people in the Russian government. Leigh Sprague was fortunate. He could have easily had a more severe outcome for his crimes. He easily could have been beaten up, locked up in a Russian prison, or killed. Fortunately, he found himself in a California prison typing away at his blog. Sure, paying restitution is never fun or easy, but Sprague should be happy that he and his family are still alive and breathing to this day.
And now the Russian oligarchs have way more to deal with than him. So, you know.
Oh, yeah, way more to deal with. They got an election to rig again.
They already did, right?
Well, they're probably going to try to do it again.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But he won like another 6 years or something, right? The president? I don't know.
Oh, Putin?
Yeah. That was recent, right? They had another election and he won the election. And I think they have like 6-year terms.
Jesus, thank God we don't have 6-year terms.
But you can run as many times as you want.
No, it's great. Love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like North Korea, where they like have an election.
Do they have elections in North Korea?
An election.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know
I'm
they
pretty
faked
sure.
it. I just thought they were
I'm
just
pretty
like,
sure that like Kim Jong-un is the only person on the ballot.
Yeah.
And then you just go and vote for Kim Jong-un.
Well, how can you not
I'm
vote?
pretty sure that's how they do it.
How can you not vote for Chubby God? You know?
You are
Look at
my
him.
chubby God.
There's pictures of him visiting that lube factory.
I don't know about that. What the fuck are you
Yeah, it's like
talking
him with like barrels of like industrial lube and him just like smiling. It's hilarious.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, just type Kim Jong-un lubed up into your search. It'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
there.
Yeah, each candidate is pre-selected by the North Korean government, and there's no option to write in a different name.
Great. They're pre-selected and still somehow all of the other ones go missing.
And that was our episode. If you liked what you heard and wanted to follow us for more, there's lots of places to do that. You can do that on social media. We are on Facebook at Facebook. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/whitecollarsredhands. We're on Twitter at whitecollarspod. We're on Instagram at whitecollars_redhands. We're on TikTok at whitecollarsredhands, and we are on YouTube at whitecollarsredhands. If you want another way to support us, we love getting reviews. Although we would love a 5-star review, a honest review also works. You can do that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Another great way to show your support is by telling a friend about us. Word of mouth is one of the greatest ways to get people to know about something. And so, tell them you like us. Tell them you like us. And if you want an unfree way to support us, you could always go to our website. You can click on our merch tab and you can buy some merch from TeePublic. If you hear of a white collar crime and you're like, 9-Inch Kashan should talk about that, please let us know about it. You can send us suggestions by either DMing us or you can email us at whitecollarsredhands@gmail.com.
Which we did get. We've gotten a couple emails recently, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, thanks
for
so
those
much.
who reached out. I'm terrible at responding to emails, but thank you.
Thank you so much.
I do see them.
All right. Well, we will try to cover some of those in some upcoming seasons.
Yeah.
Get into it, yeah.
Hop out on the truck.
Get into it, yeah.
She's dating that guy from Stranger Things that died. Oh, spoilers.
Oh, I thought you meant the guy actually died.
No, he didn't die. Yeah, she's dating a guy's ghost. It's crazy.
She would. All right, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
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 We'll see you next time on another episode of White Collars,
Red Hands. Get into it.
Yeah.